I'm making oysters, and these ones are from Gambia. When they are picked, they're actually smoked and taken right off the shell and just sold straight away. There's actually a stretch going to the city where the women are sitting and selling them, and they're actually really hot because they've just taken them off the smoke. So people would buy them off there, take it home and do as you wish. These were bought from there, and when they were taken home they were fried. That's just to preserve it so it can be brought to the UK. They were just flash fried. As you can see, they're not really crispy. They're usually cooked for breakfast. However, I'm sure you could cook them for lunch as well and eat it with rice. I'm going to cook them as I usually do, which is just for breakfast. Actually, you'd cook them the same way, even for lunch. So these are the oysters, and you need tomato puree, garlic, bay leaves, Scotch bonnet peppers, to your discretion. I really like hot food. Sunflower oil, peeled tomatoes, that's just the plum tomatoes. You could use the fresh ones, try and get them a bit soft. Salt, black pepper, these are fish stock cubes, onions, and I'm eating mine with the baguette. These are just those ones. There were actually 4 in the pack. I'm sure some of you will see it in, they sell it in Sainsbury's, Iceland's, everywhere. I've used 2 of them, so this is just 2. I've done some prep on the onions, and okay, I'm using 2 onions, the 3 Scotch bonnet peppers, 2 garlic cloves, and 2 fish stock cubes. The tomatoes, I just took the plums out of the tin just so I could cut them with the knife, because I am not using my blender today. I'm doing everything with the knife. I prefer the rustic texture of the onions and the tomatoes. And that's just the cream of the tomato sauce, so we'll use that later. So I've diced the onions, basically just how you want it. That's the Scotch bonnet pepper. Gosh, it looks like a lot, doesn't it? That's the garlic there, the stock cubes, and the black pepper. I've put it there just to avoid putting it in whilst it's cooking so I don't clog it up. That's the oil. It's already in there, and it's actually ready to put in. I'm just going to put the bread in the oven. I just bake it on a high heat. Okay, I'm going to put everything in together now, except for the stock cubes. Right, the only reason why I don't put in my plum tomatoes now is I always like to fry off the garlic and the onions until they start to caramelize. The reason why I do that is if you put the plum tomatoes, even without the liquid, it starts to steam everything because it's got so much moisture in there. So if you're looking into frying your onions really well, and it even gives it off a nicer flavor just to have that oil infused with the onions before you actually put in the tomato. So it's been frying for about 6 minutes. I'm now going to put in the plum tomatoes. The liquid is still in the pan. This is just the top. Right, so 2-3 minutes later, I just want to put in the cream of the tomato now. And I put in everything. I'm also going to put in the stock cubes. I'm using 2. I'm going to hold off on the salt for now. I'll just leave that till when I taste it to see if I actually do need it. I've just brought in the cover. It's at 16 minutes and my bread is done. I'm switching off that oven. I kind of forgot about that. We're going to let this fry for another 2 or 3 minutes just to make it little bit drier. Then we go in with the tomato puree. Okay, so it's dry enough for me now. It's at 19 minutes. And by the way, since I started, it's been on a high heat. But as soon as I put in the tomato puree, I'm going to reduce the heat down to medium. Not medium high, but actually medium, because there's a lot of tomato in here already, and when you want to put in that, the sugar's going to be quite a lot. Then it starts to stick to the bottom very easily. So I'm going to use a quarter of this tube. This is a 200-gram tube, so I'm using a 50 gram. Okay, so the tomato puree has cooked for me. I'm now going to put in the oysters. I don't know if I mentioned, but when I started the cooking, everything was on high heat. And what I was doing was I didn't go away from the stove. I was here constantly stirring it. So just be aware of that. It was only when I put in the tomato puree that I turned it down to low. My highest level is 6. When I put in the tomato puree, I turned it down to 2. So I let it sit for about 2 minutes or so. Then I stirred it. And now we put in the oysters. Okay, I'm just going to mix that through, and I will add mix that through, and now I'm going to add some water. If I can also just say, if you happen to have these oysters and they haven't been fried, like I told you, it was fried just so to preserve them whilst on the flight. And if it weren't fried, I would have to fry it before I do anything. That means before the onions go in, the oysters is the first thing that you want to fry, and then you start. So that's okay. And now I'm going to crank my heat up to 4. My highest is 6. I'm putting it on 4. And I want all this liquid to be absorbed and go back to the frying state. 38 minutes now. And okay, so we're all ready now. It's at 45 minutes. It was actually ready a few minutes ago. I missed my timing there. There was a period in time where I turned down the heat. That was after I put in the water. I would say about 5 minutes or so I turned it down. You would know when to do this anyway, because it tends to be almost splatting because it's really thick. And if you mix it with the spoon, you'll see that it's starting to burn at the bottom. So when you hit that point, just turn it right down. I think I turned mine down to 1 or 2, and that will allow the oil to rise. And that's it already now. It's really nice with French bread. You can also make a sandwich out of this. It's really nice that way. Or just eat it like a naan. Thank you for watching. Bye.